Alrighty, Tatiana, it's been lovely chatting with you. We got to speak a little bit off the recording here about the job itself and a little bit about yourself. But Tatiana, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about your about you and your professional experience.
Well, my name is Tatiana Castro. I am a mom of four, adopted two, so we're a family of eight now. Um, I'm always had the medical background of things, so I've always worked in medical. The Lord kind of opened up this where I'm at now, which is HR at a private school nonprofit organization. So I've been here 3 years. I started from the bottom, went all the way up. I started at a fire room actually, just because it was closer to home. I was working in West Palm Beach, running the office over there for radiation oncology. But this position opened up, and I just felt the need to take it to be closer to my kids. So that's probably why you see the little gap, if there was any. I'm not too sure it was. But, and, I've kind of grown here. I love it here. But like I said before, the benefits. It's the benefits, it's the stability, and that's pretty much it because I've learned a lot here. I am a notary public. I'm actually in school for clinical psychology, pastoral. I am the right hand of my CEO right now. I've learned a lot. I never knew anything about education, which is where the kind of branch I'm working in. So I've learned a lot in that branch. I've learned the laws, the statutes of Florida, the Florida statutes, all the benefits that we have to offer, the taxes. It's a lot of tedious things, but I've been able to research and get familiar with all of them in the past 3 years. I do have a human resources diploma that I did online, but I do have the training that I've you know been able to process. But I am trying to work on getting the SH RM, which is the human resource management thing. So I just have to, you know, go ahead and take the test. But that's pretty much me. I like to flow. I like to learn new things. I like to be available. I like to help. I stop if I have to stop HR. I do that to help my front desk, my teachers, anywhere that I can. I try to do that. I try to be very helpful, and meet deadlines.
That's important, right? That's a key thing in your role. I know, Tatiana, I appreciate all the details that you gave me. That was a phenomenal introduction to, who you are and where you are now. You mentioned to me off this recording that you run or you oversee three branches.
Yes.
Tell me a
Well,
little
we
bit about.
did. I did for the last 2 years. I did. I ran. We had three branches. We had the elementary, the middle school, and the high school. We had a total of 185 employees. And so, yes, I had to run those three and make sure that licensing and make sure that inspections, everything was up to date. It was a lot, but this year we decided to go a different route. We closed down those two branches, and we are all in one building now, and that's what we're doing now this summer. We're actually rebuilding this building to accommodate all three, levels of, elementary, middle school, and high school.
Amazing. And you mentioned that you had about 180, was it 185 employees? Were you the one processing payroll for those employees on your own?
I was processing time and attendance and payroll. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about your experience with the payroll in itself.
Well, payroll, I worked closely with my director because we have a certain way of doing things here. And so I always like to do things how the company likes to do things. If I can tweak it to make things easier, most definitely, that I will always bring up that suggestion. But the way they do things here is very tedious, very manual. Everything is manual. Onboarding is manual. I have to do everything, from like scratch. It's not. We have a platform that we use, which is Paychecks, and it's very helpful, super helpful. But there's just certain things too that you have to learn how to tweak on your own. So payroll always will take us for 185 to 200 roughly. it'll maybe take me like 3 days because I
Oh,
have to
okay.
make sure, yeah, just because I have to make sure all time and attendance is placed in. I have to audit all time and attendance, make sure that the employee was here, clocked in properly in their domain, making sure that they were in that geolocation, making sure that their PTO was put in for those that weren't in, and make sure it just transferred correctly into the payroll batch. So it's
Gotcha.
very serious, yes.
I can tell, it really shows. You mentioned some more of the manual,
Mhm.
that time, and then you guys use a separate system. Was it checks, paychecks was the
Paychecks, yes.
system?
Mhm.
And so, are there any other systems that you use, perhaps like an ADP for payroll at all?
I've worked with ADP in my previous jobs.
Okay,
I've worked with ADP. If it's something like HR wise, though, no. I was the employee working with the, but not with ADP. I haven't worked with them. I did work with Workday as well.
Mhm.
Once again, I was the employee though, but I wasn't operating it like an HR.
Yeah,
Could I learn it? Most definitely. I didn't know anything about paychecks, and I've learned it, and I taught myself. That's one
beautiful.
thing I do. I teach myself.
Yeah, definitely sound like someone who is a go-getter, someone who's willing to learn, always remaining a student, right? And so going back to payroll here, how do you ensure that the payroll accuracy or that payroll is accurate before your final payroll run?
Oh man. So I had to create a system here because it was three different branches. So I appointed a supervisor for each site to make sure that we are accurately docking and making sure that the employee is in building and it's clocking in and out. I do an audit every day. I run an audit every day, a report every day to make sure all the hours are correctly, that we don't run over budget and stuff like that, just to make sure everything is accurate at the end of the payroll batch run. There are always going to be some discrepancy, but the point is to make sure that you get it on time. I go through every little one. Every little one, I take my time. I make sure that all my other deadlines are completed so that I can focus on payroll and make sure that if this person took off, that he has this enough on this amount of PTO, or if he wasn't in, he doesn't get any PTO, making sure that we make sure that we deduct his time properly. And just when it transfers over, I just cross-reference everything. I cross-reference everything. I even make sure that my director sees it and make sure everything's accurate, before we go ahead and go through.
Amazing. Now I want to move over to the benefits
Mhm.
experience because you work on benefits right now as well. You have for the last, was it 3 years or so? So tell me about your experience when it comes down to administering the employee benefits, for example, the health insurance, 401k if you do with that, and perhaps the HSAs as well.
I think that gotta be most like my most challenge. It's more challenging for me, I think, the benefits part, but always making sure that within their 90 days they get that notice. Here, you're eligible for this. This is what we're offering. I do have a benefits coordinator that I work closely with as well through Paychecks. We were able to coordinate that and plug everything into that domain, that platform. So she works closely with me. We make sure that the employee is it's aware of what we're offering, if it's an affordable insurance for them, what will work well with them, how much is it, how much would it affect the employer as well, how much we will have to come out of pocket if we are coming out of pocket, how much we're coming out of pocket. The 401k as well. Right now we don't match 401k, so and it's something new we've been dealing with because I've always worked with the 403b, which is for the nonprofits. So now we're offering 401k. So that's been a little new, but even with that, I've been able to dabble with that a little bit too. Um, like I said, we don't match it, but a lot of them like the fact that there's a savings in that. So I work closely with 401k, make sure all the documents are properly input, making sure that the employee is accurately being um, directed, and they know what we're offering as far as that. That's also through Paychecks. We've been able to plug that in through Paychecks, so that's been very helpful as well. But I just like to make sure that everything's on point, that they're being deducted every pay period for it, and making sure that they run through it through the summer as well, because they don't work if I have a 10-month employee. I just make sure that they don't, they can still maintain their benefits. But we make sure we take care of it before the summer, because, we don't want to have to pay out of pocket, but we don't want them to miss out on their insurance either.
Amazing. I appreciate that. And then have you ever had to work with reconciling, your monthly benefit plans, invoices, um, OSHA reporting, perhaps, EEOC reporting? Have you ever had to deal with that as well?
Yeah, so I work closely with workers' comp as well. So I
Mhm.
have to deal with that. I have to deal with OSHA, with the handbook, everything, making sure that we are on point with our rules and regulations and policies. As far as the finances, I work closely with the finance department here, and we do together. We work on the reconciliations of the, payroll, paychecks, all the other bills that comes with it. Yeah, we do a little bit of that. We have someone that does the reconciliation here. They go and they take care of that, but we still have to cross-reference with each other. So
Amazing. Well, that's perfect. I know I asked you a few questions here, Tatiana, and I went over the 5 minutes, but your experience is there, and I'm excited for your journey here. So, Tatiana, my last question for you is going to be, when were you looking to start a new opportunity?
um I'm not in a rush, but because I'm willing to wait if I have to. I would like to finish things right here.
Yes.
If I had to leave, I would like to finish things right here. Anytime mid-August is fine with me. Because we start the new fiscal year now on August 11th. So I just want to make sure that all my onboarding people, everyone's right, and then the next person that comes in, I can train them properly and just take over.
Absolutely. So you want to perhaps give about a 2 week notice or so, let the school year kind of begin around August, the 11th, and then from there we'll go from perhaps like an August 18th date, the
Yeah.
week after school
Yeah.
starts. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, Tatiana, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this interview again. It's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit further in your professional experience. But don't hang up on me really quickly. I want to chat with you off the screen here.
Okay.
Thank you.